If ever a car review was set up for a home run, surely this is it. Because look, Audi A6 Avant finished in this very cool Ascari blue paint, riding on 21-inch wheels. It looks fantastic. Surely if Audi can combine this new design with the quality, the practicality, and the refinement that you expect from an Audi A6, it's onto a winner, right? But then again, when was anything ever that straightforward? Let's start with the size of the car because, well, it's huge, isn't it? It's actually 6 centimeters longer than the previous Audi A6. It's basically a 5-meter long car now, and that is before you've put on a tow bar and a bike rack, which, let's face it, you will because, well, it's an A6 Avant. Design-wise, I think this is a very smart looking car, this rear end in particular. So this is almost more shooting brake than traditional estate car. And then there's just details. Audi goes to town with lights these days, and this car is no exception. So this bit here actually almost looks like an air vent, doesn't it? But no, this is where your brake lights and indicators are, and they carry it all along this light bar down here. Very smart. It's a bit more traditional Audi up front, but in this flagship Edition 1 spec, it still looks super smart. Now there are some elements of this new A6 that do make you question whether things have been changed because they're better or just because they're different. The door handles are one example. So as you can see, they're flush, and that's good for aerodynamics. This is a very aerodynamic car in general, which is good for fuel efficiency. But they're just not as easy to use as traditional door handles. So you lock them by pressing there, and then you open them by pressing there. In that instance, of course, we're on camera, it's worked fine, but there have been numerous times when I've had this car that it just doesn't open first time. And when it's something as basic as opening the door handle, that does get a bit annoying. The back seats of the A6 are a really great place to be, actually. So space is great, so you've got decent amount of leg room, decent amount of headroom. We've got the panoramic roof here. This is a £2,400 option with its kind of digital shade. Even with the roof, you still get decent headroom. So I'm 5'11" and I fit just fine. We've got air vents up here. We've got more air vents down here. Pockets here to put bits and pieces. Yeah, it's lovely, and it feels pretty special back here, actually. The only thing with this is the middle seat. You have to straddle this huge transmission tunnel. So it's just about wide enough to get 3 people across. But really, I think if you want the true comfort levels that the A6 can offer, you are going to want one of these outer seats, and potentially pop that down as well so that you get a couple of cup holders there too. So the A6 fares very well for rear passenger space, at least for the outer 2 seats. How about the boot? It is perhaps not as big in here as you might think it would be. So if you get a petrol A6 Avant, you get 503 litres of space. This diesel, because it's quattro, because it's got mild hybrid, actually it's 477 litres of space because you lose underfloor storage. There's nothing, no space there to put anything. You do get the rails as standard, so that's a nice touch. You do get this nice LED lighting, again, a nice touch. But in terms of overall space, it's not only smaller than a BMW 5 Series Touring or a Mercedes E-Class estate, it's actually a bit smaller in terms of litres than an Audi A5 Avant, which is the model down from this, and it's smaller than a Volkswagen Golf estate. Weird, isn't it? Because it actually looks like a big space. It's a metre wide as well, which is handy. And having said, you know, it is smaller than some of the competitors, it's still a huge boot. You're still going to fit in your stuff for a family holiday. I put a mountain bike in here the other day with both wheels still attached. And that's easy to do if you drop the rear seat. So they drop 40, 20, 40. You can use these levers here. So not the biggest boot in the class, for sure, but also still pretty big. And let's face it, the reason it's smaller is because, well, the car looks so good. So it just depends what your priorities are. So the A6 range in Avant form starts from £52,500. That gets you a front wheel drive petrol. If you go for the diesel, it jumps to almost £57,000. But bear in mind, you also get quattro all-wheel drive as part of that. That is entry-level sport trim in both instances. We're actually in the top spec edition 1 here. This comes in at just under £57,000 with the diesel engine. If you then add in £1,500 worth of Ascari blue paint, if you add in £1,200 worth of 21-inch wheels, £2,400 for the roof, another £1,800 for the air suspension, a couple of options packs, and all of a sudden you find yourself in a 2-litre diesel Audi A6 that costs £79,000. So does this feel like a £79,000 car? No, I don't think so. It feels really nice in here. I actually quite like this white leather, and the seats are super comfy. But as we've pointed out with other modern Audi interiors, some of the plastic choices are perhaps not where you'd expect them to be. This is a prime offender, this panel here under the vents, just, yeah, not great, is it? So much piano black. This just is a magnet for fingerprints, so it ends up looking a bit scruffy in not too long at all. And overall, I mean, it's a very nice interior. I just don't think it has that level of kind of craftsmanship that you used to get in A6s in the past. The dials and infotainment setup are the same as we have seen in other modern Audis, so full digital displays including a 14.5-inch infotainment system. It is quick to respond and has loads of features including Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, both wireless. However, we do find some of the menus a little bit complicated, and the dials in particular can be a bit too crammed with information. In our top spec edition 1 test car, we also have the second screen on the passenger side, which can be used for controlling certain functions. So we spoke about the door handles and changing things perhaps more for the sake of it than because they needed changing. I think this panel down here is another good example of that. So instead of having physical controls for things like the door mirrors and for the lights, you just have this panel down here where it's all housed in one space. I'm not sure what the advantage of that is. I'm not even sure it looks that good, to be honest. It looks a bit sort of tacked on, but there you go, there's that. With this A6 now, the head-up display is also bigger than in the previous model, and you can actually control certain functions through it. Again, I'm not sure how useful that ultimately is, because your instinct is to control it through here or use the voice control, but you can do it. More impressive, arguably, is the ambient lighting in this car, which at night, this interior does look very cool. Even actually the little Bang & Olufsen, oh look, touched it there and it's lit up, that's cool. That comes on and is backlit. It looks, yeah, it just looks really special at night. You can also, speaking of the Bang & Olufsen, all A6s get it. You can get an upgraded version of it, and even speakers in the headrest that tell you sat-nav instructions, which again, another small detail change that some people might enjoy and some people might find as a bit of a gimmick. So, engines. As we have mentioned, you can get the A6. It starts with a 2-litre turbo petrol engine, front-wheel drive, 7-speed S-tronic dual-clutch gearbox. That one will get from 0 to 62 in 8.3 seconds, so actually not that quick. This one is the diesel. With that, you get quattro all-wheel drive. It has the same power output as the petrol, 201 brake horsepower, but a lot more torque. This one will actually get from 0 to 62 miles per hour in 7 seconds, so it's a fair bit punchier. The diesel includes Audi's mild hybrid 48-volt system, which helps it to feel really quite muscular and enables electric driving at low speeds for very short distances. The mild hybrid system with this diesel engine is quite clever actually. It will allow the car to run on electric-only mode at very low speeds or when coasting. I've tried it now in 3 different Audis, the same 2-litre diesel powertrain with a mild hybrid. First was the A5. With that one actually you could hear quite a bit of motor whine. So although the system worked effectively, it was a little bit irritating in the audible way it was working. Also tried it in the Q5, it was very good in that. In this A6, I actually think it defaults to its electric mode more than either of those other 2 cars. However, one thing I have noticed with this car, which is a bit unusual, is that if you are at very low speeds and you have full lock on and you're just in EV mode, you get kind of this juddering from the drivetrain, which really is not befitting of an £80,000 car. Fuel economy for this diesel is 48 to 50 miles per gallon on the WLTP cycle. We've seen 47 miles per gallon in mixed driving, and with a full belly of diesel, this will do around 600 miles between fill-ups. When it comes to suspension, there are 3 different options you can have on the A6. So if you go for an entry-level sport, it comes on passive comfort suspension. If you go for an S-Line, it comes on passive sport suspension. That also applies if you go for the Edition 1, only with the Edition 1 you also unlock access to the air suspension. As we mentioned earlier, that's just under £1,800 as an option. It's what this car is on, and it is wonderful. It's so nice. The way this car rides is absolutely fantastic. It just glides along the road. You can also select via the Drive Select button different driving modes, so you can put it in dynamic. That will actually lower the ride height by 10 millimeters, and it makes the car quite a bit stiffer. You do notice the difference. Of course, the A6 is still not a sports car as such, but it handles neatly enough. The steering's well weighted, it turns in. It's got torque vectoring, so it will brake an inside wheel if you turn hard into a corner and accelerate hard to tuck the nose in. I don't think you would ever particularly notice that on an A6, but I guess it's nice it's there. But what I would say is that if you are buying an Edition 1, you're already spending a lot of money in your A6, I'd probably go for the air suspension as well. Similarly, the fact that the Quattro all-wheel drive system can send up to 70% of power to the rear wheels is probably going to be less relevant than its ability to disconnect the rear axle entirely under lighter loads to the benefit of fuel efficiency. Where this car excels, and where I guess you would hope it would excel, is when you present it with a long journey. It just demolishes miles. This is the sort of car where if you're doing a family holiday to the south of France from the UK, with some cars you'd be like, oh, that journey is going to be a real pain, but we'll do it. With an A6, I think you would look forward to the journey and you would actively enjoy the journey. It's just that kind of car. It's so comfortable. The stereo's great. You know, this diesel will do 600 miles on a tank. It would just be effortless. And that is why you buy an A6 Avant. As we've noted with other modern Audis, the driver aids such as the traffic sign recognition and the lane keeping assist are also really well calibrated, and if you do want to turn them off, it's easy enough to do via shortcut buttons. So I mentioned earlier about the juddering from the mild hybrid system on full lock. Let's see if it'll do it. Hear that? Not what you want on an 80 grand car, is it? On the plus side, what the mild hybrid does do, which is good, is it actually gives you a little bit of torque feel. It has around 20 horsepower, and that means that whilst you can't currently have a new A6 with a 6-cylinder diesel, and I suspect you probably won't ever be able to have the new A6 with a 6-cylinder diesel, it does make this 4-cylinder feel a little bit more muscular in the low to mid range. So like we say, 7 seconds 0 to 62, it's pretty sprightly. So there you go, the highs and lows of the mild hybrid system. As we have noted, there are perhaps some things about this new A6 that don't completely add up, the smaller than expected boot being the prime culprit. And as this press car shows, it is also easy to spend an awful lot of money on your A6. But do you know what? If you love big, wafty saloon or estate cars, then there is still an awful lot to like about this new A6. Is it worth £80,000? Well, I don't know about that, but as a car in the 50 to 60, mid £60,000 range, yeah, I get it. I think this is a really, really cool offering. Whether it's as good as its direct rivals, I think we'd need to get them head to head to find out, because the margins are going to be pretty small. I think the bigger issue with this new A6 is how it compares with its predecessors, because actually there is a school of thought that says the best A6 was the one from 2 generations ago, the C7 model. That version of the A6 essentially did everything that this car does. It will serenely transport 4 people and all of their luggage over vast distances, only it was doing it 10 years ago. This one undoubtedly is better in lots of ways, but I'm not sure it's so much better. But what do you think? Let us know in the comments. Head to cargurus.co.uk to search for your dream used A6, or indeed any used car. And remember, please do subscribe to the channel, and we'll see you next time.